Good morning, everyone. We are live from the CEM Africa, the Customer Experience Management Africa 2017. And with me today, who's literally just come off the stage from his presentation to the entire audience in a keynote speak, Graham Stephen, the Commercial Officer, the Chief Commercial Officer from Wonga. Graham, welcome to the event, and thank you so much for the presentation today. What are the expectations from your side in terms of your business expectations from the CEM Africa this year?
Great, thanks Nilo, thanks for having me here today. I think my key expectation is really just to come and connect with people across the industry. I think that there's some really great speakers in the lineup. I think it's also about that time outside of the speaking sessions where you can really get to engage and have proper conversations with people around what's at the forefront of customer experience and really connecting with customers today. So that's what I'm looking forward to, and I think as always it's a very well put together event, very professional. It's always great to be part of something like that.
Perfect, and thank you for joining us on the live interview stream today, going out to all the CEM viewers online. In terms of the customer engagement, and we'll move on to how Wonga see customer engagement currently and potentially moving forwards, what difference would it make to your business in terms of clients, whether in the position where you could engage with your customer experience agents on a daily basis? How do Wonga see that engagement with your agents?
Thanks, Nilo. So I think as I spoke about on stage a bit earlier, as a digital business, Wonga traditionally was kind of hidden behind a layer of a website interface or a mobile phone or something like that. And as I said, we kind of realized it took a crisis to bring us to this point that we truly needed to engage with our customers. It wasn't good enough just to kind of accept that the edge cases would never get through or never take a loan or anything like that. And we've embarked on a journey in the last sort of 18 months where we've tried to do exactly that. We've rebranded our call center the Connection Center. So that it's all about connecting with customers, listening to customers. And as I spoke about on stage, is we've done away with things like call scripts, for instance, so that when a customer phones in to deal with a problem, they can have a conversation. It's about how do you solve that problem as opposed to following a script. And then the second part is we've made it everybody's problem. It's not just a connection center agent who has to do that. It's the CEO, it's the tech developer, it's the Q&A guy, it's the CX guy. We've tried to move away from looking at all these buzzwords and saying, hey, there's a CX person who needs to do that. It's everybody's problem. And at the end of the day, unless you're serving a real need of a real customer in a truly authentic way, you don't have a business. So that's kind of, I guess, broad brushstrokes in terms of how we've looked at the problem.
Thank you for that. To explore that a bit further, the Connection Center, the journey that Wonga has taken in terms of the business transition, as you mentioned, it's a change within a substantial amount of components within the business. In terms of that facilitation and change within your business, what sort of advice could you offer the live audience in terms of potentially trying to expedite that process, a recommendation that they should entice or should entertain during that transitional process?
So I think the biggest thing, and I'm a pragmatist at heart, is not to over intellectualize it, not to get too caught up in having perfectly designed process flows and specifications and all of that sort of stuff. I think you need to be biased towards action, and most of these things, in most relationships or engagements, it's intuitively we know the right thing to do. And I think it's so easy to get caught up in all the buzz and all the hype, and to some extent these sort of conferences and that perpetuate that. You've got big, fancy, important people on stage speaking about global consultancies and all of that. So my advice is actually just to, in a sense, listen to your inner voice around this. I think it also requires a lot of humility from senior leadership, and it needs the support of senior leadership. And then it's about asking for forgiveness rather than permission. So, if you're sitting in an organization where you think, hey, we're not connecting with our customers, our call center agents or connection center agents are not engaged, don't sit back and complain about it. Go and make it happen. Just, say, make a change. Often you need to demonstrate the results. And if that's the case, go chat to your head of the contact center, agree a pilot with a small team of 4 or 5 agents where potentially, some guys going away from call scripts might be a big leap of faith. But try it with a small select group of customers, and I guarantee you that you will see results, either positive or negative, and then you can move on from there. So I think it's about being biased towards action. It's about not over-intellectualizing it, intuitively knowing what is right, and then going ahead and just doing it. So,
Graham, if I'm understanding you correctly, you're looking to your agents to trust their gut feel, keep it simple, and engage with your customer base at a very, very engaging level where if there were any discrepancies in terms of engaging with your customers, it would feel real in terms of the engagement. Is there anything else that you want to add to that? Or?
I think to that point is, if you think of most organizations think of operation centers and that as, they rule by fear. And a lot of people might say, hey, it's naive to think of running a contact center or customer engagement center with a different approach. But I do think that, the contrary to running a business with fear and consequence is running one with accountability and freedom, and those two go hand in hand. And I think it's about building trust and connection with your staff. You still need to have consequence. So you think if you're a parent and your children misbehave, there still has to be a consequence. But you always give them that sense of how do you recover from that. You give a way forward. And I think, that's kind of how I think about it. And, I think if more businesses thought about it that way, we would have much more engaging and committed customers and services. So
I'm going to thank you for sharing that experience with us, because I think that's a really key point that you raised there. And there's a huge amount of experience that you bring to the customer experience management event this year. I'm hearing you being extremely honest in terms of your facilitation and transition within your business. It's exciting to actually see companies like yours actually embracing that type of engagement with their staff. At the same time, leveraging that engagement in front of your customers, which is extremely key. In terms of the engaging live with your customers, as in now the ability to have your agents engage from a video perspective, how do you see your ability within Wonga at the moment to provide a level of live engagement with your customers? We're becoming more of a real-time society. Our social engagement inside the workplace is growing. How do Wonga leverage social platforms, live platforms at the moment within your business?
So, it is a challenge. I think, as a digital business, clearly people engage with us through our website and those interfaces. A contact center is always a point of contact, which we do have. We've started to leverage things, and again, they're pretty common technology, things like live chat, which has, I think in the last sort of 6 months has probably taken over as the leading engagement mechanism with our business. But even there, you've got challenges. We're still operating with a fairly old architecture from a connection center point of view. It's how do you bring all that stuff together? How do you? It's the simple things like, next time a customer engages you with live chat, how do you make sure you got a record of his previous conversations? And it's those simple things that we still need to get in place. And I think also, it's about remaining relevant, so you don't need to be across all the social media platforms. We are on Facebook, we are on Twitter, we all of that sort of stuff. But those things only work when you actually actively engage with them. It's no good having a Facebook page and you never respond to things. For example, one of the things we've done is we actively monitor Hello Peter. Not that we get a lot of complaints, but it's about immediately getting in touch with the customer when there's a complaint there, engaging with them, and turning around a 1-star rating to a 5-star rating. So, we've tried to pick our battles in terms of saying, what are the things that are going to give us the biggest impact, putting some effort around that. And I think, it is about remaining relevant. Maybe one last point on that is, live chat, we've seen in South Africa in the last 2 years, probably 70% of our engagement 2 years ago was through a desktop terminal or laptop. Now 70% is through a mobile device. So something like a live chat interface on a computer is very different to doing it on a laptop. So we're looking at ways and means to kind of make it easier to engage through your mobile phone and all. And that's just about, as I say, it's about being relevant and keeping up with the technology. I don't think you need to be at the forefront of the latest and greatest. But in what you are using, you need to do it well and you need to do it slickly and succinctly. Yeah.
Thank you for that. And that's a key component in terms of not only dealing with the legacy platforms, but also embracing the current platforms, specifically on the mobile, specifically in this country where the majority of the population don't actually have access to a desktop PC or a laptop. Mobile engagement is the predominant way of actually interacting with your customer base. In terms of the mobile aspect of it, if we explore that just slightly further, and we were to say look at the engagement from a customer perspective, do you see that there are any sort of threats to the mobile aspect of it in terms of potentially other technologies that could influence the way your customers today, predominantly on the mobile platform, could start looking at interacting with yourselves, or is that still very early days at the moment?
Look, from my side, I think it's still very early days. In fact, I think sometimes we want to be the latest and greatest. And even mobiles in that space. I spent a previous company a lot of time up in East Africa and West Africa. And interestingly enough, most of the engagement there is through old school USSD, So, and highly effective and highly engaging with customers. And it almost seems like, in the Western world, it's like, that's not cool enough. So again, I don't think, the solution's always in, the next best thing. It's the same with apps, At the end of the day, practically how many apps, everybody wants to have an app. But how many apps can you have on your phone? I have an iPhone and, personally, once I have more than 10 apps and all my photos and that, it's cluttered, So I think it's about remaining relevant and having something that customers want to engage with. So the mobile is not going away. I don't think it is going to become even more and more entrenched. What that looks like, whether it's a watch on your arm or something else, I wouldn't even hazard to guess. I think it's about just using what you've got, looking to the future, but don't think that there's going to be a silver bullet in some new technology to solve your engagement problems.
Great, Graham. Thank you very much for that. We're going to draw the interview to closure. Graham Stephen, the Chief Commercial Officer for Wonga. Your presentation was incredible today. The interview has been extremely successful. We look forward to sharing some more time with you, either throughout the next day or two, and potentially into the next year. Any closing moments from your side?
I'd just like to say a huge thanks to the organisers, to Kinetic, for hosting us here. And I think giving us the opportunity to connect with the different audiences and on live streaming. And thanks for everything. And I hope the next 2 days are really successful. Thank you.
Stephen, thank you very much for your time, and safe journeys wherever it may take you.